The Mandalorian. Sorry. The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 8, final episode. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it wrapped everything up in a nice little bow, but it didn't leave us like a drop, like a cliffhanger, like some seasons do. Wow.
If it wraps everything up, then it definitely doesn't leave you hanging.
Yes.
It didn't wrap everything up.
It was almost like it was the end of a series. That's what I kind of felt like. Like, that was it. There's no, like, we had to double check to make sure that there's another, season coming next year.
First thing I Googled. Mandalorian Season 3? Yeah, already planned. Okay.
I feel like it was just nicely wrapped up. Too nicely wrapped up.
While I really enjoyed the episode, I thought the editing was a little choppy. There almost seemed like they were trying to do too much in too short of a time period. Kind of like the original prequels. They were trying to tell too much of a story and fit it into too little of a time period that they had for those 3 movies. Perhaps if they had brought Bo-Katan in to this group in the previous episode, they might have had some more time on this episode to flesh things out a little bit better, but that's just a guess. Let's talk about the Dark Troopers real quick, those droids. A lot of people are going to think they're awesome. Me, not so much. I'm used to droids in Star Wars, especially in the books, like YVH droids, Yuzum Hunters. They're not only scary looking, but they're fast and very lethal. These Dark Troopers were just far too slow. It's like they were trying to give them weight in the scenes by making them robotic and lockstep, and it just seemed like their programming was bad and they were going to move slow. And sure, they took on this menace of the unstoppable force, but I don't think they were all that unstoppable. Clearly. It seemed like a missed opportunity. Maybe if they had less Dark Troopers, but they made each one of those more dangerous, that might be a better way of constructing those scenes. It might even be cheaper.
But I didn't think that they knew how to fight them either. When I feel like they've fought droids before, they should know somewhat. But it felt like they just didn't know. Like the Mandalorian trying to fight him, he just kept shooting him, and well, it's not going to work. And then finally he pulls out the staff and
the spear,
and does it justice. But this whole time, it took a while. I get it. You want a good fight scene, though.
The first thing I'm going to do is shoot him. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to get the stick out and try that. Because I'd rather shoot something than beat it with a stick.
I guess it's for a good fight scene. They wanted to draw it out as much as possible and make them look really scary. I can see that. Yeah, and I think, honestly, it was one of the weakest fight scenes for the Mandalorian for Din this whole season, perhaps for both seasons. I think because they had to slow him down to fight the trooper when he's usually pretty quick, and that trooper was very slow. I think the Dark Troopers' combat capabilities drug the whole scene down, including for the Mandalorian. Another scene I didn't quite understand was why, when they got to the control deck, they just stood there waiting for them to break in. For the Dark Troopers to just come busting through the door. They just stood there with their phasers, their guns, all ready, pointed at them. But
phasers or Star Trek?
Oh, shoot.
Somebody's going to lynch you for that.
Okay.
Set phasers to stun.
Phasers to stun. Oh, gosh.
We're doing... Get the red shirts. We need some cannon fodders.
And they were on the command deck. And they were all there. And the Dark Troopers were going to bust in. I think it's more of a dramatic effect. Then the X-Wing flies over. And it's like their savior. Like, we're being saved. But what is this? There's only one.
I think it was the pacing.
Yeah.
Honestly. Remember back in the original trilogy, the trash compactor scene? starts off kind of slow, and the pacing builds and builds and builds, and eventually they're screaming into the mics, right? The pace is really fast right there. For the bridge scene, the pacing was too slow for what was coming. Or it just wasn't menacing enough. There was something about it. It just maybe a little bit less of those pauses between the different people saying things. I don't know how I'd speed that up, but
I agree. I think that, if they had just shortened a little bit of the just stillness, it just seemed like it went on forever. Like,
there was just far too much of this.
Standing there. Do something else. I mean, I understand the dramatic effect of,
there's a part of me that
coming in, but
okay, so plot loophole, right? They had the command stick that goes in the dash and on the command deck. They had the key to control the Dark Troopers. They'd pulled it out. Somebody, I forgot who, maybe Wynn, pulled it out. So they had it. They could have just turned them off. Maybe?
Yeah, I wondered about that too. I'm like, there's got to be something up there. They were in the control area. Like,
they're controlled from up there.
There shouldn't be some.
Find the off button.
Yeah. I just felt like there should have been.
This is why you need to bring a droid with you. Plug in, R2.
Oh.
Turn them off.
I did think R2-D2 was a little big.
He is big.
But he looked a lot bigger than usual. Maybe it was just the angle.
You're used to R2 being around everybody who's taller than him. But when you put anything next to him that's actually smaller, it's like, oh, R2's a pretty big astromech.
But even when he was standing next to Luke, he looked like he came up to here.
Well, R2 leans back and sinks down a little, and he stands up straight on two legs, and so he has different heights. And
so you didn't see...
I think he was standing up at the time and shaking.
You didn't think he looked different, like something like he was too big or
No,
odd?
I'm pretty sure it was the camera angle going from down to up.
I wondered that.
So in episode 7, Din, the Mandalorian, took his helmet off because he needed to for that particular scene. It made him taking his helmet off in this season slightly less impactful, I think. Maybe they should have waited until the very end.
That would have been good.
Yeah? You think they should have waited?
Oh, yeah. I can now, that would be impactful, to see that.
I loved that scene. That whole thing when he had his helmet off and he was there with Bill Burr, or Miggs, the character Bill Burr plays. I loved that whole scene. I loved how it all worked. I loved Bill's response when he gave him his helmet back. It worked for me. I really liked that. But yeah, I think...
With that being the first time,
I don't know. If I had to choose between that being the first time, I'm not sure which one I would pick, honestly.
But also it being the finale, kind of a big point too, I think.
Yeah.
It might have been.
Still kind of was.
Yeah. It was very dramatic.
He's getting more and more used to it. Next thing you know, we'll be running around in a Speedo. A Beskar Speedo.
And his helmet.
That's it. She'd like that. At the very end of the episode, a single X-Wing shows up. I immediately knew who was in that X-Wing because I've read almost all the Star Wars books. Luke shows up. Luke whoops a ton of butt, and he gets up to the bridge, and he reveals his face. Turns out, Luke is CGI Luke. I was still super excited because it was Luke from the books. Is exactly how he's described in the books. There he is, gallivanting through the galaxy in his X-Wing, running around kicking butt. And here he was doing it in The Mandalorian in live action. So I was excited to see Luke there, but I was initially worried about the CGI. I recently saw Gemini Man, and the CGI there was not very good. This was better. I think it was better because they minimized his face time. They minimized the facial movements, so there was less to kind of give away the fact that it's CGI. And that worked because he's a Jedi Master. He's calm. He's not going to be moving around a lot. He doesn't need to speak a lot. He's has command presence. And I think it worked this time. So the CGI was actually pretty good, in my opinion. Or at least the use of it was fairly good.
I agree.
Which brings us to the end of the episode. Grogu leaves with Luke. Well, yeah. Well. But what does that mean? Well, what is Season 3 going to look like? Is Grogu going to be in it, or is it just going to be the Mandalorian starting a new chapter in his life? He has the Darksaber. Is he going to go rule Mandalore? Take Mandalore back? I'm not sure what the exact status of Mandalore is.
That's kind of... Yeah.
That's what you think?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. That would be an interesting storyline. Or is there going to be something that happens that brings Grogu back into the story? If so, what is that? I don't have any really good theories. I'm just posing questions. Probably the single most important question, though, for the end of this season is, will Clan Scarada be in Season 3? How can you have a series about Mandalorians that doesn't have Clan Scarada in it? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you need to read the Republic Commando books in the Star Wars canon. I guess I don't know if they are canon. They may or may not be canon. They happened during the prequels, so they might be canon, but they are the best Star Wars characters and book series. That they're just the best. Clan Scarada, I'm a huge fan of. I didn't even like Mandalorians all that much until I read the Republic Commando series, and now they're my absolute favorite.
Who knows what next season will bring? Can't wait. We shall see.
I know who knows. Jon Favreau knows. He's not telling anybody.
Now, I know we've critiqued a lot about editing, Dark Troopers, things like that, but overall, loved the episode. Still love The Mandalorian. Love the season. I love the ending. It opens up a lot of possibilities, even though it seems to be closing a lot of possibilities off. I would say that I'd give this a 7 out of 10, a solid 7 out of 10, this episode.
I would give it an 8 out of 10. I feel like it was a good episode. Closed a lot of doors, but it really has me guessing for the next season. So I like that.
Bye, y'all. We're going to add a post-credit scene to our review because Mandalorian added a post-credit scene to their last episode. In it, Boba Fett takes over Jabba's palace. I mean, Jabba's been dead for a while, but takes over Jabba's palace on Tatooine. And it looks like he's setting himself up to be a warlord of some sort. Who knows? But we will know December of 2021.
Yes.
The Boba stories. Boba Fett stories. I don't remember exactly what it said.
Something like that.
Boba Fett 2021.
Looks very good.
Sound like he's running for office when I said that. I'd vote for him.